Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started tonight. I'm going to introduce myself for those of you who are not familiar. I'm Jodi Culler, and I'm a parent to two children here at Cleveland High School, as well as a second grade teacher at the elementary school. I would like to thank all of you for coming out tonight to this town hall meeting. Some of you may have received the flyers sent home with your student, or seen the ones around the community, or heard the radio announcement. I called this meeting tonight to discuss the obstacles that our students face with classroom funding and that our teachers face with classroom funding. We were going to have a guest speaker, but Senator Clay Schofield was not available to attend, and our panel guest, Mr. Thrasher and Miss Matthews, was not available either. However, Miss Brees did come out. She is a teacher here at Cleveland as well, and is a parent to 3 girls that attend Cleveland. Our meeting tonight is to discuss the concerns that our students have and the limitations of enough resources and funding and technology that other districts receive through classroom funding that ours does not. We are going to have an open floor discussion with 5 questions that some of the parents and community members had submitted prior to this meeting. And then we will end our open floor discussion with some refreshments. Our first question for tonight is, what can we use and learn from other districts who receive more funds? I know that funding is based upon student ratio and other factors of population and where the school is located. I was hoping that Senator Schofield would be here. He is our District 4 senator and has knowledge of our schools and our districts here in this county and could tell us a little more on how funding is distributed. Our next question is, how can we start to change the way classrooms are funded? That is a great question. We need to hopefully work together as parents and stakeholders and community members to try to change how our districts are funded so our classrooms can receive more funding to help our students be able to succeed. The next question is, what are some ways we can increase school funding and where should it come from? I was hoping again that Senator Schofield could answer that question for us. I'm not as familiar as where it would come from, but we could maybe look into the education fund that the state has. One of the concerns that I have that is going on right now with our education fund is that they are trying to take money out of the education fund to pay for Medicaid and Medicare, and if that bill passes, that is going to limit our classroom funding even more than our district gets and other districts gets as well, which is going to create more obstacles for our students. The next question is, how can we all work together to make a difference in increasing funds? Maybe contacting our stakeholders and our senators to not pass the law to take out Medicaid and Medicare out of the education budget, leave that in the general fund, and that way it won't limit our classroom funding more than we already are limited now. And the last question is, if we can increase school funding, what will the new funds be spent on? As a classroom teacher, if I had increased funds, my funding would be spent on textbooks that my students could use that are going to be challenging and increase their achievement. It's going to be spent on books that my students can read that are on their level and above their level to get them to develop a love for reading. is going to be spent on technology, so my students can have a 1-to-1 ratio with Chromebooks instead of having to share a Chromebook cart with the 4 second grade teachers. And then it would be spent on other materials and supplies that my students would need to be successful. Okay, we are going to have open discussion. We are open to suggestions. I would love to hear your thoughts about classroom funding, what you think that our classrooms need, what you think our students need to be able to be successful and to be able to have the opportunities that larger districts have that our smaller districts do not. And whatever you think that, you know, our school or our community or our stakeholders could do to increase those funds, and what we would, where would we start? Okay, I would love to thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you all for your suggestions and your comments, and I hope that we can work together here in the next few weeks and maybe get some letters and some phone calls to our senators and Montgomery and get those laws not passed that will not take more education funding away from our classrooms and teachers and students. Okay, so we will dismiss, and refreshments are over here in the lobby. And I just want to say thank you again for coming out tonight. Have a great night.